We saw in the previous video that the requirement of the BMI project is to build an Android app that expects the user to enter the weight and the height, and it should compute the body mass index. So, as we know, using the MVC pattern, there are three components for the app: the view, the user interface, the model, the brain, if you like, that does the computation and the data handling, and then there's the controller that glues the two together. Let's go ahead and build the view. All right. So to that end, let me launch Android Studio and create a new project with an empty activity. Let me call the project BMI and leave all the defaults. Just make sure the language is Java. Click Finish. Wait a bit until Android Studio builds the project, and this is the XML file is the view. We get a default view with a label hello world. I don't need it, so just highlight it, delete it, and let's start building the interface. The requirement says at the top we need a label, which is a text view, a read-only box, if you like, that prompts the user to enter the weight with the text, your weight. I'm gonna make it big so you can see it. For the purposes of this video, I'm gonna make it bold and italic. Every widget in the user interface has an ID. It has to have a unique ID so the controller can fish it out. So I'm gonna call it the weight label, and that takes care of the very first widget. In terms of layout, we need it to be anchored to the left of the device and the top of the device. So that's the first widget. The second one, we need a box, a text box in the language of HTML, in which the user can enter the weight. So let's call it the weight box. And in terms of layout, they said it should extend across the screen. So these are the two constraints. This will center it, but if I switch that to match the two constraints, it will go across. Now, in terms of the vertical layout, they said it has to be under the weight label, so I anchor it up, and we're good in terms of layout. This should be empty, so the text property, I'll just delete it, delete the content. So this is how we place a label and an entry box. All right, you can see in the tree here, within this layout, I have a weight label and a weight box. All right, we need to repeat this for the height, so I'll just do the same. Get a label, call it your height, change its size, bold, italic, and give it the name height label, and anchor it to the left, and below didn't anchor it. height box, left, right, match the two, and vertically go under. Alright, and we don't need any content in it. Then I need a button. This button horizontally should extend. The requirement said its name should be button, the ID, and its caption should be all caps compute BMI. I'll make it bold and 18 so we can see it clearly. So the idea is the user will enter the weight, the height, click the compute BMI, and hopefully see the computed index appearing below. So I need a label, text view, to hold the answer. I'll make it extend across, matching the two constraints and appearing below the button. Let's make it big, like 24, give it a color like purple, and make it bold. Alright. Also, the requirement said it should be centered in this box. Currently its gravity is tilting it left, so let's go to gravity and pick center. Alright, and our view is complete. We need a name for this label. Let's call it an ID, let's call it answer, because this is where we're gonna put the answer. You can see the component tree showing the various components and their IDs, and more importantly, if you flip this to a landscape mode, we'll see that in this mode they're appearing or laid out exactly as required. You can change to a different device, like a TV device. You can change to a watch. You can change to a big or small tablet, and in all cases it's laid out the same. Now this layout, graphical layout, is captured by an XML file that looks like this. It's really important that you get comfortable with the XML. It's straightforward. It just has one tag per widget, and it captures some of its important property, like its layout, its name, its content, and so on. So we have text view and edit text for the weight label and weight box. Similarly for the height, a button, and finally the label for the answer. Oftentimes I find it a lot easier to do editing in this file rather than in the user interface, particularly if you have many widgets, then you can easily copy and paste here. Alright, going back to the UI, that completes our building of the view.